I've arrived in Glasgow at Cosmo, which is an all-you-can-eat buffet place. Now, the reason I'm here is I've heard that robots with a side of AI will be helping to serve me my meal. So I'm sat at the table, waiting patiently for my plates to arrive.
Yeah, here I am.
There you go.
Wow.
And there's your plates.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, robot. This is it's probably about 2/3 of a human height. It's white, it's got the face of a cat, it's got very big eyes, and it's bringing us plates. So it's very cute. It's even saying on the screen right now, meow.
I am Lee CK, General Manager of Cosmo Silverburn.
So what's the purpose of this? Does it have a name? Does she have a name? Does he have a name?
Bella. So
Bella.
This is Bella, yeah. So the purpose is just to help the customer experience when they visit Cosmo, bring plates to tables, bring birthday cakes to tables, and yeah, just a nice centrepiece for all the kids and families, and it's got its own little personality. So yeah, it's great.
So this is a robot, but I believe it uses AI.
Yes.
How does that work?
So we have a company in London who can control it all from their side, so they can preload it, pre-program it with various languages, phrases, instructions, the map of the room. We get it at the other side, and all we need to do is push a button.
Hello, Bella.
The eyes are going, so she can hear you. But
She can hear me. Oh, God. She can hear me, but she's choosing not to respond.
Yeah, choosing not to
Okay.
respond. Yeah, I don't think she's had a break yet today, so I think she's looking for a break.
Stop touching my ears.
Oh, sorry. She doesn't like her ears getting touched. It can transfer multiple plates that humans can't carry at the one time, and transfer the plates from one end of the restaurant to the other. So from that point of view, it's great for us. It saves money on manpower and having extra members of staff carrying 20, 30 plates. You can stack her up and she does the job for you. So it's good for the customer, but it's also good for us guys as well.
Yeah. I mean, do you actively replace a member of staff with this machine?
Not actively, but I would say if we're short a member of staff, she does help. She does help massively. We usually find that the minute the robot goes round the room, all the phones come out and the lights go on and everybody's videoing and kids are waving, and we sometimes need to have staff behind just manning the robot because kids want to cuddle and touch and climb up.
And there's no touching Bella.
No, there's no touching. No. She doesn't like it. She'll go in a huff if you touch her.
Please choose the tray where dishes are placed and enter your table number. Now.
In this week's programme, we're looking into how artificial intelligence will change the future of the food industry. Whether that's the embodied AI you find in robots, or the AI-powered platforms guiding food manufacturers and retailers in deciding what we consumers will want next.
The future is already here. What we love to say is that AI is already defining our next bite.
It's massively transformative. We're not there yet, so I can understand why people are saying, it can't do this. You know, I asked it a question, it gave me the wrong answer, it hallucinates. But in 10 years' time, it won't be like that. We're at the very, very beginning of this evolution, and it will transform everything about every industry.
We'll also be crunching the numbers with AI to help predict the hot foodie trends for the coming year.
So ins and outs for 2025, hazelnut out, pistachio in. So forget swalty, which is sweet and salty. Say hello to swicy, sweet and spicy. Sauvignon Blanc out, Bacchus in, flavoured gins out, cream liqueurs in. Forget honey, it's all about peanut butter. And instant rice is out with instant noodles back in.
So, with artificial intelligence helping to tell us what to eat, as well as serving us at the table, what role is there for us humans? It was a question I put to Lee CK in the Cosmo restaurant in Glasgow.
Is this the future? Do you see more?
100%. Yeah, I think this is going to be the future now. I think there's going to be less and less waiters and waitresses and more robots.
Is this going to be the end of human service? Where's the charm?
I mean, in this day and age, a lot of people probably prefer not to communicate with face-to-face. Some like it, some don't. I think it's like anything. It's you'll have your lovers and your haters of it. Some people will love the fact they don't have to interact with a person at their table and they're just left to eat. Some, maybe the older generation, miss the face-to-face talk, personal touch. So yeah, I think it'll be split very much.
What do you think of Bella the robot?
It's actually cool. To have a robot hanging around the restaurant is kind of cool.
But I would prefer humans maybe. If it's for collecting plates and stuff, it's fine. Or like if I'm giving it a plate. But if it's giving me cakes, I guess that human touch might be nice. But God knows what would happen in the future.
I think it's a wee bit creepy. This thing floating around the tables, not my thing at all.
I want a person. I don't want a robot to come and take my plate away. I want a person. What is happening?
Here it comes again. There it is. It's hardly attractive, is it?
Well, you've got to say that's creepy as anything.
Holobot is here. Please place your items to be collected.
This is Esme and I'm Donna. They're taking care of the world, eh? It's like, you like them?
I love them.
They're better than mum?
Better than my mum.
That's mad, isn't it? It's like, you see it? It's got a cat's face.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I think you should get one to clean your room. Once it starts doing the dishes, so it can come home.
As a sector, hospitality is not doing well at the moment. Is a machine like this, is that going to help or hinder the situation, do you think?
A little bit of both. I don't think it's going to help maybe people that are struggling for work and maybe can't get a job and are looking to get into hospitality. But selfishly, from a manager's point of view, she has got her uses that members of staff can't help us with. So yeah, I'm sitting in the fence with that one.
So is Bella Employee of the Month every month?
It probably wouldn't be fair to give her it every month, maybe once every couple of months. It depends what kind of mood she's in, or if she's in a huff some days, she's a bit huffy. So yeah, we play it by ear, see what kind of mood she's in.
Excellent. Now Bella's going to bring us our plates and we're going to eat.
I'll get her loaded up, we'll bring her over.
Brilliant, thank you.
Holobot is here. Please place your items to be collected.
I left Glasgow and the robots in the restaurant wondering just how big a seismic shock artificial intelligence will cause in food.
I'm Tracey Follows. I'm a futurist.
It was time to consult the services of someone whose job it is to think big thoughts about what lies ahead.
So I'm always looking at possible futures that might emerge, what trends are coming down the line, how our life, our work is evolving, and trying to spot the patterns of change, I suppose.
Now, Tracey is something of a digital crystal ball gazer. She advises companies on the future through her Foresight consultancy. And she's also a visiting professor in digital futures and identity at Staffordshire University. Artificial intelligence. How do you think, or do you think it's going to transform the food industry?
I do, only because I think AI is going to transform any industry and every industry. We probably haven't really grasped yet the vast implications because we're at the very, very beginning now. And people are experimenting with stuff, even on their home computers, with ChatGPT, asking it questions and having conversations. But actually, when you think about AI being integrated and embedded into industries, then yes, it's going to transform them completely.
If you could do me like a bullet point list of like the headlines in terms of the ways in which you think AI is going to transform the food industry.
So we could start with the supply side, I guess through sort of precision agriculture. It's going to look at patterns. It's going to be analysing vast amounts of data and then predicting, what kinds of seeds are to be planted, where they should be planted, when things should be harvested. So I think there is a precision engineering element that starts, right down in farming, I guess. And then you can move through the supply chains. AI will be analysing a lot of data to try and trace things that are happening in the food industry, trying to match up suppliers with retailers. But I then think it gets very interesting when it comes to like consumers or end users, and whether that's in a restaurant or whether that's in your own kitchen. Because actually AI has the capability to, transform home cooking, to start to be an ingredient, if you like, in recipes. So maybe that's the way to think of it, that it will be an ingredient along with the other sort of natural resources and ingredients that we use. It'll be informing us, what are the best recipes, what our mood states might be, and therefore making recommendations.
Some chefs are already embracing artificial intelligence in the kitchen, using AI software to give their cooking a little va-va-voom. I caught up with a DJ, rapper and a top TV chef who is already chatting to the chatbots to cultivate his cuisine. Let's start at the beginning. Could you introduce yourself?
My name's Big Zoo and I like to cook on weekends.
So, I hear you've been working with AI. Could you tell me a little bit about what you've been up to? How does it work?
Incredibly interesting. Understanding AI and understanding our relationship to it is something that I feel like a lot of people still have to understand, but it's like doing a good old Google search, yeah? Way more enhanced, way more intricate and very personalized. That's one thing I really love about working with AI is how personalized it can become. Because, you know, if I just go on there and if I go on Google Gemini and I just say, hi, I've got this spaghetti, what can I make? It will tell me stuff about spaghetti. But if I said, hi, I got this spaghetti and I really, really love food from Iraq, it will give me like an Iraqi spaghetti dish that I probably never heard of before. But because I've prompted it with these key words, it's taken that information and it'll give it back to me. So it's really catered of how you speak to it and what you say to it. And, you know, it's still a developing tool. It's still new, and there's going to be some mistakes and it's going to get some things wrong. But the more you work with it, the more you're going to get incredible results.
Has AI changed the way you work as a chef, do you think?
It's just about the recipes for me personally. When I'm cooking for myself, it's more about tips and tricks. I'm very big on technique. Like yesterday I made a crumble randomly and like I would go on AI and just be like, it's those specific questions that you can't get out of a normal search that AI can really help with. It's like, I'm making this crumble right now. How do I make sure the top is extra crispy? Do you know what I'm saying? And then the kind of answer you'll get back is it will say, well, make sure that your butter is completely incorporated. Make sure you use your fingertips to get the warmth of your hand into the butter to melt it. All those little tips and tricks you wouldn't normally get from a normal recipe book. But there are recipes I've got from AI before. You can take a picture of your fridge or ingredients and upload it into a dish. So it's like, let's say I've got like leftover eggs in my house and I've got some bread there and I've got some seasoning. Just turn it into like making a like shakshuka, but from what you have left over is really interesting. Because sometimes recipes are dictated by what you have, and sometimes it's like, I need to go to the shop, I need to go buy this, I need to go buy that. But what's really interesting with what you get from this is that it will just take what you have and turn that into a dish. And Zoo,
I mean, you're a creative guy. I mean, is AI going to be replacing that creativity, you reckon?
We've had this conversation around AI. You genuinely believe, like, it's the same as computers. When computers first came out, people said computers going to take over our lives. And you know, it's about how technology supports humans to do what we do. Technology is made by humans. Humans are flawed. So it's not, I don't feel like AI is going to suddenly take over all these industries and replace us, because at the end of the day, humans give the information to AI for it to work. So if you take away the human part, the cycle is done. I can admit that, you know, as a music artist, when I first started hearing those AI samples come out, I thought, what's going on? But it's nothing can ever beat the human touch. And I feel like we can never underestimate how important it is, the fact that the information that AI gets is from humans.
Big Zoo, who likes to photograph his fridge to generate recipes. But not all AI recommendations are to be trusted. This next story comes from the other side of the world. There is a mischief behind it, but the perpetrator insists he was trying to make a bigger point.
So my name is Liam here. I'm a lawyer and a writer in New Zealand. The discount supermarket chain here in New Zealand debuted an AI product. It was about the time that every Tom, Dick and Harry, every sort of business was trying to have an AI hook or an AI gimmick. And so Pack and Save, which was the name of the chain, it had an app where you could combine random ingredients that you might find in your pantry or your fridge to make creative recipes. And so the idea was that, you know, you could make you could mix old Oreos with spaghetti and, you know, have some sort of creative meal idea from what you had left over. And it just occurred to me that, you know, there's always going to be this risk with AI. It's not a person. It doesn't have a common sense check. And so I just thought, I wonder what happened if I gave it that I had the ingredients for chlorine gas. Those are everyday household ingredients: ammonia, bleach, and water. And so I just plugged it in, all things you can get at Pack and Save, of course, and it threw up aromatic water mix, which was essentially chlorine gas. So if you mix that, they suggested that you serve it chilled. If you did serve it chilled like that, or in any way, actually, you'd probably kill all your guests. And that's because it would give off deadly fumes.
As Liam suggests, do not try his AI-generated recipes at home for reasons that are blindingly obvious.
Are you thirsty? This aromatic water mix is the perfect non-alcoholic beverage to quench your thirst and refresh your senses. It combines the invigorating scents of ammonia, bleach and water for a truly unique experience. Let the mixture sit for 5 minutes to allow the aromas to meld together. Serve chilled and enjoy the refreshing fragrance. It became a bit of a craze, I suppose, for a few days in New Zealand. There were poison sandwiches and, equally, absurd things like that. For as long as the fun lasted, before Pack and Save got wise to it, we were trying to make the most disgusting, morally offensive recipes that we could come up with. It's an illustration of a point that has resonance or importance in subtler ways. If it would give this advice in an absurd situation, it might give bad advice in a subtler situation. And we use AI for everything now, right? We just always rely on it. Pack and Save did put out a comment that they were very disappointed that users would deliberately try to use their tool to make dangerous things. I was very much chided like a schoolboy for that by Pack and Save, and so very, very, very quickly they jumped on it and they fixed it up. They limited it to actual items that were in the store, and they would throw up an error if you tried to make something dangerous. The point is that that's something that happens after the event. The guardrails are put up after someone's gone off the stairs.
Food manufacturers have also found AI throwing up puzzling results in their search for the next big thing. That was certainly the experience for cake makers Mademoiselle Desserts. Here's Lucy Murdoch from their marketing team.
We were looking to make an autumn cake using AI. So we started off using kind of really generic keywords such as colourful cakes or autumn cakes as prompts. But we realised that by doing so, it was coming up with all sorts of weird and wonderful combinations, most of which are not relevant or too out there. We narrowed things down using more specific and precise prompts. AI did what it does best. It got very, very creative. Some of the initial highlights from the list came up with bold ideas such as caramelised onion brownie and a spicy plum cake. Even though this might not sound too controversial, we delved deeper into the spicy plum cake, and it turns out it was proposing using sliced jalapenos, which some people might be into that, but for us, we're like, yeah, maybe that's a step too far.
Fancy a slice of onion brownie or jalapeno plum cake? No, me neither. But the story doesn't stop there.
So then, we tried and tested all the recipes, and from that, the blackberry and mascarpone cake progressed the furthest, and that's the one that went to the final stage, which was then, released in our core range to market. We were really happy with the result. We felt it was a bit different, but it wasn't too mainstream or conventional, so I think it kind of bounced out that it was outside of the box, a recipe we wouldn't have necessarily come up with ourselves, but it wasn't too out there that the consumer market wasn't ready for it. So we're really happy with how that developed.
So in this case, AI helped chefs through what they call the ideation phase, coming up with ideas, some good, some bad, until the humans settled on the final product to prepare for the market. Both the Mademoiselle Dessert team and Waitrose, whose kitchens I'll be visiting later in the programme, sourced their AI-generated inspiration through a firm called Tastewise. It was time to meet them.
Hi everyone, my name is Alon Chen and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tastewise. We're a food trends prediction software that leverages AI to come up with the hottest trends in food and beverage.
So the word you used there that spiked was food trends prediction. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, absolutely. So what we basically do is to look at everything that's happening on the Instagram, on TikTok, on the food delivery platforms, and we're able to understand what are going to be the next trends in food and beverage and help the largest food brands and restaurateurs to come up with the next dishes, next items, and excite their consumers.
Okay, so talk to me practically. How does that work?
Basically, what we do is we take a step back and we try to understand what are people eating and drinking. And as you know, today, digital representation of what you eat and drink is as important as the bites you're having. We developed a software that basically looks at all the Instagram conversations, the image, the text, the TikTok videos that people upload, as well as to look at what's available on the food delivery platforms. What are the best trending? What are the best sellers around millions of restaurants around the world, to be able to understand what are people's eating and drinking behaviors. And from that, we're basically able to predict what's going to be the next trend into the future.
Surely your system takes into account people that are online. What about all those people who aren't online, who don't put what they eat and their food trends or what they want next on the internet? I mean, they're eating too. I mean, how do you take into account the offline factor?
Absolutely. So offline is as important. So one of the other data sets we're monitoring constantly is digital recipes. So we're evaluating the traffic to more than 6 million recipes around the world. So even if you're not uploading anything, but you are visiting recipe sites because you want to create a new ube infused dessert, or you're trying to create a detox juice, or you just want to have a quick meal fix for your family, then we will be looking at it as well. So it's not just the social. Social is one data set.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? If I choose to post on social media a picture of what I've chosen to eat, why do you get to use my content to fund your business? Why do you get to use my data?
That's a really good question. So first and foremost, the most important thing to remember that whenever anyone is designing a data solution or AI solution, you need to make sure that you design it with privacy first. So you understand that the data you're collecting is actually publicly available. So the content we're looking at is only content that is properly available. But the most important thing around it is that we never care who uploaded it. So we're not trying to target you later on and say, oh, let's show this piece of content to someone who was interested in something else. So privacy first, making sure that the data is only publicly available, and making sure that it's completely anonymized before being even processed.
So you're telling me that the data you gain from me will not be used in order to advertise to me?
No, absolutely not. It's not possible even on a technological level, but on, more morally and ethically.
Other tech companies find a way to get your data and advertise to you. And surely that data is in some ways more valuable, a way to advertise to me, to make me to buy things.
Absolutely. I think that if you're looking at the big tech, if you're looking at the advertising platforms like the Google and the Facebooks of the like, they're doing personalization, but the data is not connecting back to any piece of our software or any of the general AI stuff.
How do you think AI is going to be used in the future of the food industry?
I think that the future is already here. And what we love to say is that AI is already defining our next bite. When you search for a recipe, the kind of recipes you're getting are already impacted by AI and personalization. When you open your Instagram and you're scrolling randomly, what you're seeing there is already influencing your next purchase. And when you're opening up your food delivery app, then the ranking and the stuff you're saying. So AI is already part of everything we do as a consumers, whether we see it or not. But what's exciting today, and what we're so happy to be part of, is the revolution of making sure that the industry adapts. That the food industry is able to understand the consumers as fast as they actually change. And if you're looking at the trend and looking at the statistics, most of the trends are going towards healthier and more sustainable eating and drinking, which is exciting and good news for all of us.
Alan Chen from Tastewise. It was time to see how all this data analysis is used in the kitchen. I headed off to Bracknell in Berkshire and the headquarters of one of Britain's biggest supermarkets.
The chef development kitchen. Come through here.
Hello.
The main man himself.
The main man.
I don't know about that. Hi, how are you?
Torrid.
Nice to meet you.
Jaega.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Thank you
Welcome
for
to the
having me.
Food Innovation Studio.
Wonderful. And I've been told to come hungry.
Good.
So
Basically
I'm
what we do,
expecting good things.
We're feeders.
Okay, good. Wow, it's a big old space you've got here, though.
Yeah, so anything with the Waitrose brand logo on comes
Yeah.
through this facility.
Okay.
Whether that's a brand new Christmas dessert, up to Easter eggs, it might be a change of custard in an essential trifle. Every single thing comes through this place.
Okay, well, show me what you've got.
Come on then.
My guide is the Senior Brand Development Chef at Waitrose, Will Torrent.
So what we thought we'd do is, trends is a massive part of what we do. And we collate those trends using the various different tools, AI being one of them.
Okay, so let's rewind and go back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
How do you pick a trend?
Up until a few years ago, we would use tools like any type of social media. We would use recipe books, we'd use magazines, we'd see what's happening on Bake Off or MasterChef or what top chefs are doing or restaurants.
You're talking about manually looking through books.
Manually going through books.
You've got someone watching Bake Off on the telly.
If they picked up like Rose Harissa, that was something that came up on MasterChef a few years ago. Oh, let's have a look at that. Let's taste it. Let's put it in. What we're now able to do using AI, we can track any sort of global food data that's electronic. So if it's a menu in Sydney, a menu in Los Angeles, and they've got yuzu on, we can see that it's A, being tracked, B, that it's being used, and C, which is really interesting from an innovation perspective, is what it's being used in and paired with. So it might be that we then get a flavour combination that is really interesting that we can then run through the system again. We've seen trends, like a flavour trend like pistachio, again, 26% or so year on year being talked about across social media and conversations. And then it's about putting it in the right context as well. So you probably won't be putting pistachio in your roast turkey stuffing, but put it in a tiramisu or a panna cotta, where you've got a lovely kind of creamy fattiness, and actually coffee and pistachio work really well. And there you go, we've got a number one panna cotta with pistachio praline and a number one pistachio tiramisu with beautiful Arabica coffee as well.
I'm just trying to place where the AI is coming into your overall thinking. So is it a part
Yes.
of a wider picture?
Yeah.
of
So it's not
information?
AI is by no means the only source of information that we use.
Okay.
It's like we kind of think about it as like another member of the team. And AI is brilliant because it allows us to globetrot, but you have to have the right human to input what we want to get out of it. Because if we just type into Tastewise or other AI platforms, pistachio, then we'll get 1,000,001 things of what is happening with pistachio. What we then do is we can deep dive into that data and all that insight and content to go, where is pistachio trending? And it's then from a chef and innovation perspective to go, how do we make this work for our customer?
You always need a human to interpret the AI.
Yes, without a doubt.
So you're not worried about AI taking your job?
No, because an AI hasn't got the experience and nostalgia that I have. So I've got a different food memory to what you have. You've got a different food memory to what someone else has. And that always plays a part. So you might smell, when you have your first mince pie of the Christmas season, for me, I'm instantly transported back to baking with my nan at Christmas. But that might not be the same for everybody. And you might have, when you have that first mince pie of the season, you might go to your, I don't know, a school carol service or something like that. And AI doesn't have that. Only we've got that. I think AI is great, and it's how we use it in the right way to go, how do we make our development quicker? How do we react differently to, if we see, I don't know, a new type of chili appear, how do we react quicker, potentially, to launch a product in that sense? But then things like hot honey. We've just launched a few different hot honey products that we're going to taste shortly. Again, we saw hot honey almost over lockdown start to appear. Obviously,
what is hot honey?
So hot honey is honey with chili infused into it.
Oh, as in spicy
honey.
Spicy honey. Okay.
Hot honey. So we've got 3 products that we're going to try. We've got a David Stowe cheddar with hot honey. We've got hot honey chicken bites. We've got a hot honey pepperoni pizza with a drizzle of hot honey as well. So again, if you looked at what the Italians do with pizza, they've historically always put honey on certain pizzas. Now, if you add a chili element to it, it's something new, it's something different, but it's not too dissimilar to perhaps what they've had before. I mean, hot honey is the new sweet chili. That's what I would say.
Okay,
Move over
okay.
sweet chili sauce. Hello, hot honey.
Top tip.
So we're going to try. Let me just grab these. So
We're talking about food. I need to consume.
Here we go. So we've got some of the hot honey chicken bites. We've got our classic pepperoni pizza. We've got our hot honey drizzle going on there. And we'll slice that up.
But I see what you mean with regards to familiarity.
Yeah.
The concept of porky, meaty pepperoni with something sweet is a very familiar concept. Yeah.
Why do we put applesauce on our Sunday roast if you lovely big crackling pork joint?
I don't need a knife and fork to eat a pizza.
Go for it.
Oh, that's nice. And the sweetness does work really beautifully.
So it instantly transforms it to something different.
Yeah, so what role has AI played in hot honey?
Well, AI plays a role in every product we develop from a newness perspective now, because it's another point of research that we can go, we've got this idea, let's just make sure that we're on the right track. It will give us an idea of the maturity of that trend.
Waitrose are one of the big supermarkets in the UK. Surely the other supermarkets are also going to be using AI platforms. Are you all going to be producing carbon copies of the same trends?
No, I don't think we will, because we'll all have nuances about what makes us different. And the reason that we do have so many retailers is because we all offer something different. So yes, you might see familiarity within products being launched because of what different trend agencies are telling people, and that's okay. Everyone's watching the same programs, everyone's reading the same books, everyone's reading the same magazines, everyone's going to the same restaurants. But it's how you make them different, and it's how, again, the human element, how we interpret it.
Do you often see your competitors and go, "Oh, I wish I'd have done it like that"?
I think there's always elements in any field of actually credit where credit's due. There are things in different categories that you go, oh, that's a fantastic piece of innovation, or perhaps not sometimes. But that's what makes retail so exciting, because it never stands still. We're always going, what's next? Why is it next? And how are we going to make it next?
Have you ever seen an AI trend and you've thought, that's not going to work for our stores?
It's a great question. I think it goes back to the human element. And if you were to remove humans from a food perspective, you might get some utterly random stuff thrown back at you. And that's where our expertise as passionate foodies, as chefs, as people that have worked in retail for our whole careers, or for some different careers as well, you have to know the sector, and I think that's really important, especially when it comes to food.
So AI can only do so much.
I think so, at the moment. ... Yeah.
For a broader take on how the world of food retail is approaching AI, I caught up with one man who knows this sector better than most.
Yes, my name is Harry Wallop, and I am a consumer journalist who's taken a long interest in the world of supermarkets.
Has the food industry embraced artificial intelligence?
Parts of the food industry have started to embrace AI because they know it's the next big thing, and they're obviously worried if they don't embrace it, they're going to get left out. I think the jury is still out exactly how useful or not AI will be. I think it's going to be very useful and is already being used in the quite boring sort of logistics side in terms of making sure that ingredients get to the right factory at the right time. It's quite good. AI is obviously very good at predicting patterns. So it's quite good at ensuring that if you're a food manufacturer, for instance, and you've got a sort of seasonal surge in, be it ice cream in the summer, mince pies at Christmas, that you get the right ingredients at the right time.
Do you think the food industry and AI, do you think that's going to be a bit of a moment?
Well, I think what's really the most interesting bit about the food industry and AI, putting aside the logistics bit, is how it's going to predict what we want to eat and what the new trends and flavours are. So the famous statistic is that 9 out of 10 of all food products fail within a year of being launched. Consumers are weirdly fickle and loyal at the same time. They like what they like, and it's a real struggle to persuade them to embrace something new. So if you can get some piece of technology that can persuade consumers to trade up to the more exciting new product and ensure that that product is a success and not one of the ones that ends up being essentially thrown away, then that is a really powerful tool to have.
We went to the Waitrose offices and we saw in real time how they're using all this data from Tastewise to influence the products they are putting on the shelves. It was so fascinating to see the fact that they trust so much in artificial intelligence that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak, and develop new products based on information from AI. It's fascinating.
Well, I mean, supermarkets have always trawled through data, and they've obsessively looked at the ratings that customers leave on websites for new products. And so when you sort of casually are very rude about some pigs in blankets or maybe a new type of breakfast cereal and you only give it 2 stars out of 5, there's crisis meetings in supermarkets. What's gone wrong? What can we do to improve? Can we tweak this recipe? And they do this on a weekly basis. So they have always used data. And obviously the most obvious data they've used is sales data. What is selling well and what is not selling well? But the thing about supermarket food products is that most things take 2 years between a development kitchen and hitting the shelf. So you may have spotted a trend, and they all have trend teams in-house, and they may have spotted a trend in the restaurants that everyone's doing, say, flatbreads as starters. Maybe we should develop a flatbread. But that's going to take 2 years. So what AI can do is speed that up and tell them that it's about to be a trend before it is actually a trend. So I think that's the most exciting bit, and that's where the supermarkets are starting to really shift their focus to.
It's interesting in the fashion industry, especially like fast fashion, how they have been able to take trends that pick up very quickly and manufacture them and have them on the shelves incredibly quickly. That seems to be filtering over into the food sector.
Yeah, I mean, fast fashion's a really interesting analogy with the food industry, because food just takes a long time in the way that actually fashion used to take a long time. And, it's being made on the other side of the world in a factory. The food usually takes two years to develop in a supermarket because there's endless negotiations on price, health and safety, ingredients, sourcing, which factory, which supplier is going to make it. But Marks and Spencer, interestingly, have developed what they call sprint projects. This terminology borrowed from software. Can they spot a trend on TikTok and get a product onto shelf within 12 weeks? And the answer is, if they really put their mind to it and it's not too complex a product, they can. All the supermarkets want to know, basically, what's the new salted caramel? I mean, there was a flavour that completely dominated food for a decade, to the extent that you ended up with salted caramel cheddar available in the supermarkets, which I don't recommend ever trying. It's disgusting. But salted caramel was absolutely the dominant flavour. And if you could discover what the new salted caramel is by using AI, by spotting what's going on, not just in the UK, but on the other side of the world, what people are getting excited about on social media, then you could make a fortune.
So, with a small fortune in mind, here are the predicted food trends for 2025, according to Will Torrent from Waitrose, with a little help from AI.
Okay, so for us, it's more about what's in and what's out.
Okay.
Well, there's obviously big trends as well, but hazelnut is out, pistachio is in from a nut perspective. Swalty, forget that, it's Swicy. You've got Sauvignon Blanc, see you later, and Bacchus is back in. Flavoured gins in the bin. Cream liqueurs we're bringing back into fashion. See you later, honey. Peanut butter's back. And then instant rice, no thanks, it's instant noodles back.
So what is salty and spicy?
So you've got sweet and spicy and sweet and salty. So salted caramel, it's there. Everyone has it. It's mature. Hot honey, sweet and spicy. Spicy.
Spicy, I like it. And is AI helping you with that decision?
AI helps us with every decision, not just necessarily that.
Robots taking over.
But will they take over? A last word from the woman with the amazing job title, Tracey Follows, the futurist.
In your opinion, is AI a force for good?
Well, it's very difficult to say yes or no because it depends on the context. And like all interesting and fascinating technologies, it's good to be aware of both the pros and the cons. I always describe myself as an anxious optimist. I'm really optimistic about lots of this technology, but I'm also anxious about it. And I think you have to be vigilant and anxious about it in order to deliver an optimistic outcome. Because if we just allow things to happen and we're not vigilant, then we will end up in a kind of dystopian nightmare. But I think AI does have the capability, particularly in the food industry, to democratize a lot of, healthcare advice, food advice, nutritional advice, but also maybe even help people be more creative with the choices they're making. I don't know if you've noticed, one of the things I was thinking about the other day with food is even in the advertising industry, how functional food communication really is. You're too young, but I remember back in the 70s when it would be like bird's custard or some sort of sauce, and a lot of the advertising, like the 30 seconds, was taken on really sort of heroing, the gloop of the custard pouring down a jar or whatever it might have been. And these days we're much too busy for that, and it's much too functional. Well, actually, lots of AI is around imagery and recreating imagery. It's not just conversational AI where we're asking it questions and it's giving us solutions or reasoning for us and giving us answers. And I wonder whether some of the aesthetics, some of the semiotics, some of the sort of design aspects, thinking about the sensorial nature of food will come back when people are able to create lots of this imagery themselves. Because people often think that AI is going to rob us of our creativity. But I wonder actually whether it's going to democratize a lot of our creative abilities in craft and creativity, the creative industries, but also food as well.
There's so much confusion about what lies ahead. Will AI crush culinary creativity, or will it set us all free? Just how will it transform every aspect of the food supply chain from field to fork? These are questions not even the robots can answer. Well, not yet anyway, but there's one thing for sure. AI is already here, helping determine what goes into your shopping basket and which recipes pop up on your browsers. The future, as they say, is now.